Welcome back to Cheddar News, everyone. Okay, here's a question. Where do space and climate change cross paths? Well, turns out over half of essential climate variables fundamental to Earth science today can only be measured from space, and more than 99% of accurate weather forecasts do come from space. Well, joining me now is Chad Anderson, who's out with a new report this week detailing the climate opportunity that space provides, unpacking a nearly $1 trillion climate market. Chad, always good to see you. Thank you so much. Chad is the managing partner of Space Capital. Let's dive in. What do our viewers need to know about the connection between climate and space?
Well, you hit on the key point, is that space technology plays a foundational role in enabling our global climate market. And so what we tried to do in this report was really to unpack the opportunity for investors. Like you said, there's $1 trillion opportunity here with assets at risk due to climate change, and with half of that expected to be realized over the next 5 years. So this is something that every major industry is going to need to pay attention to with regards to business operations, assets, and supply chains. And it's really being pushed forward by events that we are realizing now, like the California Camp Fire in 2018 and the Texas deep freeze of earlier this year.
So Chad, you are the managing partner of Space Capital, which is a space investment firm. And I know you talked about this being a big investment opportunity. Where should investors put their money specifically when it comes to this space?
Well, it's certainly a huge opportunity. This is being pushed forward increasingly by customers and competitors and shareholders. And the companies that are going to seize on this opportunity really have an opportunity to lead and create a competitive advantage for themselves. I mean, you've got financial institutions using their influence to change things, like the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, is stating its ambition to achieve net zero emissions across their entire assets under management by 2050. So this is a huge opportunity. The types of companies that we're investing in are GHGSat, for example, out of Montreal, is the first company that is able to monitor facility level emissions and get down to that level of detail from space. It's a great new capability. Muon Space out of Menlo Park is a full stack solution that is putting up the really important sensors that are going to help fill the data gaps that we have and also provide analytics. I mean, there is a clear need for quantification of emissions. The data today is just self-reported and inaccurate, and recent reports have shown that over a 10-year period, there was something like 5.5 billion tons discrepancy between countries' internal reporting and external independent assessments. So we definitely need more sensors from space gathering this information so we can understand it and address the issue.
Chad, how do you respond to critics who would say, well, look, launching all of these rockets and satellites into space to do this is bad for the climate, yet people want to say it's good for the climate on net, it sounds like. So what do you say to them, people who are skeptical about the damage that these launches do to the climate?
I mean, we have to take it in context and in relative terms, right? I mean, the launch industry today versus, let's call it, the airline industry, obviously we're launching much less frequently. And so this is an emerging capability, right? And so there wasn't a conversation to be had until this capability came online. Now that it's here, it's important that we have these conversations. Some of these rockets are focused on next generation fuels and really, pushing to make their fuel sources and their exhaust and emissions cleaner. Blue Origin's new Shepherd vehicle that just launched a couple of weeks ago, their emissions are water vapor. And so there is attention being put towards this, and we hope to see some improvements in the future.
But at what point, Chad, do we see more concurrent launches, so much so that it might eventually one day be similar to commercial air flight? I know probably we are a ways off, but when do we see that speed of launches pick up where it might be more of a concern?
Well, it's picking up pretty rapidly now, and we expect that to continue into the future. So this is an area where attention should be given. And there's a few different aspects of this from an environmental perspective. There's the emissions from the rockets, but there's also the light pollution, for example, the reflections off of all these new satellites that are being launched. And again, we're in a position now where we have this capability, and so it's important to be having these conversations now. The operators like SpaceX, for example, is engaging with the community, the astronomers, the folks who are looking for black sky and need it to operate and pursue their scientific activities. The company's proactively engaging with these communities to make sure that they can do everything that they can to minimize any impact, and so that we can all use this space most effectively and efficiently.
Chad, it's always good to get your take, so thank you for joining the show again. That's Chad Anderson. He's a managing partner of Space Capital, which does invest in space startups.